Live streaming is on.
Greetings and welcome to Stunthanger Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthanger Video Hangouts. If you are watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of that so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be registered Stunt Hangar Forum member to find the link to attend the after party. Now, here at Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes. We talk about competing, sport flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunt Hangar Video, you can find the link. Excuse me. If you're already a member of Stunt Hangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you are not a member, please register at stunthanger.com /S as in sunset, M as in Mary, F as in Frank, and you must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address, or Sparky, the proprietor of Stunthanger, will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, just enjoy watching us on YouTube. Wonderful, fantastic. You can make your questions or comments known by using the chat box, and I'll do my best to make your comments a part of the show. Now, understand, sometimes I can't get a word in edgewise. Sometimes I have to wait until the break, and I will just maybe interrupt. So be patient. I will ask your question to our illustrious panel. Now, if you find Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please give us a thumbs up. So when I say like, I'm talking about the thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the videos. That helps the channel grow. Please consider joining our YouTube channel membership, which starts at $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunthanger. Now, with your membership, you get special badges on the YouTube chat box and unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a Q&A session to answer your questions. And you can also use the super chat to donate to our show and our program. At the bottom of the chat box, you can make your notion. I'm just excused by the sneeze in the background. But anyways, thank you for your past, your present, and future support. Please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, don't say words you wouldn't say around your children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and post the link. Let's see here. Just a minute. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. I'm hoping that we had some new guests. We've had some new guests lately, and I hope that trend continues because new people always invigorate the show, and there's some new blood to have, and it's always great, and so I welcome that. And so hopefully you can talk about this hobby. I know that out here in California, we're just finishing a range um, system, and I believe it's going to go away, and hopefully I'll be able to do some flying Monday. Hey, Phil,
Hey, how are you, Charles?
I'm doing well. Thank you for coming in. You're the first one in,
Uh-huh.
so you beat everybody. I know that I got started just a little bit early, but
Yeah.
There's still, I think it's not even 6:45 yet, so I feel really good
44.
about that. I feel fantastic. I think that's the first time I've been early.
And I tell you what, I'm not accused of that too often either. Don't
Yes,
feel bad.
yes. So, but it's great. So
Shoo.
I know that out here has been pretty bad weather, but are you able to fly where you're at?
No, it's raining. It's supposed to start snowing in 5 minutes, according to
Okay.
the weather. So it's been cold as heck here and raining for the last 2 or 3 days. Got up this morning to ice on the trees, and it's been a mess. It's 30 degrees and it's been a mess.
So that means you've been working on finishing the finishing.
I've been working on finishing a house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
I
have other.
understand. I'm working on my 1993 Buick Park Avenue.
Oh man, I've got a 69 Datsun Roadster in the basement. I want to finish. I've got a 70 C10 pickup in the driveway and a 50 Ford F1 in the backyard. I ain't got time to work on any of them.
Yeah. So I haven't been doing anything on airplanes. I hope to go flying Monday. I have the fuel all mixed up. The chipmunk is all ready. I don't know if you know, but I mounted a tongue muffler to it,
Yeah,
and
I
I
heard
put
about that.
the weights on the actual landing gear that I wanted to
Yeah.
do. So I'm really excited to see how that is. I just got to put the spinner on the impact, and I believe I have everything all set up. I could maybe make a couple of sets of lines, but that'd be
Yeah,
very
I just did
ambitious.
that.
If I didn't have anything else to do, that'd be very ambitious to do.
There's
Hey,
Tom.
Tom.
Charles.
Well, I tell you what, as far as making lines up, I just made 2 sets at one time.
Oh,
I don't want to do that again.
are they different lengths or the same length?
uh, I think they're the same length. No, they're different. 58 and 60. I
Okay.
made one set 60. The steels are 60, are the standard 7 whatevers, and the brass ones are 58s. I went ahead
Okay.
and cut them down. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The brass ones are 60 and the others are 58. And I wanted to try them out and see how they do. And if they're really that much less resistance, maybe I can run the motor a little harder and keep with a 5.25 lap time. I'm a
Yeah.
creature of habit. I like 5.25. Everybody else
I
says you're.
think 5.2 is great. My Strega is a big, heavy plane, and
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes I have to fly that plane a little faster.
Yeah.
And that was
Well,
what was so bizarre for me when I was at the Nats flying Sparky's plane, because Sparky's plane is 58 and a half ounces. He could easily do a 5.4 lap time, and it'd be no problem. But that was so freaky to me.
I know what you mean.
He sped up on my account. I just wasn't used to a plane going that slow as far as the lap time.
Well, I flew Kent Ticer's Strega right after he won the Nats with it, won advanced at the Nats with it a few years back. And Ken unfortunately doesn't fly anymore. He's gotten into drag racing, which I had a turn at that 2 years ago. But anyway, uh, I flew the Strega years ago, and I was impressed with it. But I've flown some planes lately that just really will blow your mind. And you're right, they're much lighter airplanes. Trayan's plane he says it's 64 ounces. I don't know what the Strega weighed, but that plane his just goes overhead, and you just wait for it, and you're just okay, and it stays out there, and it just good grief. But Trayan literally flies at 30 degrees instead of 45. He flies at 30 to 35 degrees. He's flying little bitty,
Wow. Well, that's
and
a
and
great advantage.
he's still so precision with it. That airplane just lets him do it. So when I flew it, I fly 45 degrees, and it's just you just wait. I saw a note. He told me you're going to have to wait on the maneuvers, and he was right. You just wait on that plane to get there, and I
Wow.
said, "Good gosh!"
That would be
Next
awesome. That would
next
be a
Nats,
great
you have got to
experience.
bum a flight on that airplane, Charles. I'm telling you, you will love it. It's something else.
Yeah, I
But
really
anyway,
wish
and
I would have had the chance to fly that plane. But I'm glad I've got a chance to go to the Nats. It's a blessing. I have total
me
gratitude
too. Me
toward
too.
that.
I know what
I
you mean.
mean, yeah, I could nitpick about this and that, but I had a great time.
Oh, it's always a great time at the Nats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if nothing else, you get to meet a lot of people you've heard of and never seen. Here comes Santa Claus, and just have a great time. I mean, Wendy Ertnowski, I met him at the Nats, and I'd already bought a bunch of stuff from him and knew he was a good flyer and all that, but he beat all I ever seen. Wendy taught me more about paint in 30 minutes than I'd ever learned in my life. But I
Wow.
still wish I knew. He used to have some intensifier. He sold a little can of intensifier, he called it, that went in yellow paint. And it made the yellow so much more vivid and so much more one coat and you're painted. I wish I knew what that stuff was, because I'd love to go buy some more of it. I've got 2 planes downstairs that I want to do. And maybe one of the guys that knew him well will chime in tonight and knows what the heck it was. But man, that stuff was something. You
Yeah, I
bought a
think
little.
he was. I remember listening to some videos of Wendy, and what I remember is he would add pigment
I
to
wonder
them.
what kind of pigment though. Where you get it?
I got the impression that he got it at an auto paint supply place.
Well, I know plenty of them. I'll go find some then. That sounds good.
Yeah, that might be what it was. Hey, so John, why we can't see you?
It says that it's failed to access my camera for some unknown reason.
Come on, Santa Claus. You can do better than that.
I had a problem here earlier today. I had a break-in into my computer, and I had to actually reboot. And it's kind of funny when I was shutting it down, it said somebody else is using your computer. They'll lose all their information if you.
Right.
And I did it anyway.
That's when you shut it down for sure, because somebody's trying to clone your computer and get all your info.
Exactly. So I shut it down. So that might be part of the reason why the camera's not working.
You might just go into the device manager and uninstall the camera and then reboot the computer, and it should reinstall it.
I'm going to reboot the computer and all that, so I'll be back. All right.
All right.
All right.
Good. All right.
Be looking forward to you.
Yeah. So Tom, what you been up to, Tom? I know it's but below zero there in where you live at?
Minnesota, yeah. The high today
was
4 below. The high.
The high. Okay.
The high. That was as high as it got.
Yeah,
today.
I don't even think that's
Tom's
like the right
high
word
today
to
in
use.
Minnesota was 4 below.
That's not even the right word. The high.
Yeah.
You can qualify as high.
That's the highest it got today.
Tell me again why you like living in Minnesota.
Everything's inexpensive, I bet, there.
No. I had an aunt and uncle who lived in Minnesota, land of 1,000 lakes. And if you love to fish, it's the place to be. But if you want to stay warm, it ain't the place to be.
Yeah.
But I will say this. It snowed 6 feet. Honest to goodness, 6 feet. I'm 6'4", and I went out, and it honest to goodness snowed 6 feet in 24 hours. The next morning, the roads were clear. The kids went to school. It snows 4 inches here. School shut down for 2 days.
Yeah, well, if it snows out here, schools close down too. Of course, this is Southern California.
I tell you what, if it snows in California, the whole country shuts down.
We've had
that just don't happen.
14 days that it's been below zero.
Wow. Let me see what's going on with the chat. I just turned the chat on, so I see Tom Ramos says I hit the thumbs up. Thank you so much, Tom.
Oh, I forgot that.
And then Dan Vincent's here. I think here we go. Wendy has a YouTube channel for motorcycles. He was painting a wheel and shoveling snow today. Wow.
Sounds like Wendy.
Yeah, well,
and he's probably out feeding those fish by hand too.
I definitely miss Wendy, and Dan, I have, no kidding, over 300 videos of Wendy. I
don't have near that many.
I didn't buy them all. I mean, I purchased a number of them, but I've accumulated some from YouTube and other people. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Wendy, and
me too.
It's nice to have. Now there are probably other builders out there, but the ones that I have video of is Bob Hunt, Wendy Wanowski, and I have a lot of Sparkies too from his channel. So those are the three people I look to figure out how to do something.
Well, me too. But I'm telling you, Wendy had the I can't get it to come up where I can get a like on here. So I'll try again in a few minutes. But anyway, Wendy has the all-time record for me. He can put me to sleep faster than anybody else I've ever
Oh,
listened to. God, he can
yeah,
put me to sleep.
yeah. It is. I mean, you just put it on and then lay on the couch and you're out.
Yeah, you too. I'm glad. No, it's not just me. I will try this again in a few minutes.
Yeah,
But
he
no,
is.
my wife says if you can't sleep, just put in a Wendy tape.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah,
the whole Spitfire series, and he can put me to sleep faster than anybody. But if you can stay awake, he can teach you more in 10 minutes than anybody else can in half an hour.
yeah.
But Bobby
really,
Hunt is another one that can teach you a ton quickly, and he won't put you to sleep.
yes.
But Billy Wurbridge and Bob and Billy, when they get together, did that molding video.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I'm like this with the pen and paper ready and write down every word. But I'm not. Don't think that I'm knocking Wendy. I think the world of Wendy. But I'm telling you what, there's several of them that can teach you an awful lot. And there's a couple guys on there that do videos that are very, very good builders, but they cannot transmit it to other people where you can comprehend what they're saying.
Oh,
And it's just, you watch them do something. How do you do that? I shouldn't buy a video and have to wonder, how did he do that? So,
no, you shouldn't. Yeah, they have to go
no.
out. They should go out of their way to show you what they're doing.
Yeah, I called one of them and I got his number from Stunt News, and I called him and said, I just got your video and I watched it, and I said, I congratulate you on doing a beautiful job. Now, how the heck did you do it? And we talked for about an hour, and he says, I'll send you another video. He says, evidently they edited that way too much. So I sent him the tape that I had bought, and he sent me an unedited tape, which was, instead of an hour long, it was 3 hours long.
Oh,
And
great.
whoever edited it for him, they just edited everything out.
Probably wasn't a builder.
No, but the tape I got back, can't remember the fellow's name. I'll have to go get it and read it. It's an old VHS tape. I don't even have anything to play it on anymore. But anyway, the unedited version was very good, but whoever edited it for him was pitiful. Anyway.
So
But
Tom,
anyway,
A lot of us.
comedy conversation.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say a lot of us have been building for a long time, but you can always learn stuff from other people. I mean, no matter how long you've been building, you still learn things.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Tommy is one of the guys I'm trying to learn from. He's an absolute master at shading and weathering and making a plane look old and making it look real. And he drives me crazy with that stuff. But man, he's good at that stuff, and he can carve anything. He's an artist who builds model airplanes. That's what it is. I mean, literally, he's an artist, and he can draw anything.
Let me shout out to the chat box. Hey, Dan Winship, I really enjoyed your day with John and Sparky in the garage. That was a fantastic presentation. I really appreciate it. And whenever you're welcome, and whenever you feel like you're interested to come on in with us, you'd be well received, and hope you make that a point to do that. But I really enjoyed, and I've seen. I think I might have seen some. I know I had. Did you have a website before? Yeah, you had a website, Dan Winship, before, and I remember always going there and checking out what you had, and it always looked like fabulous stuff. So. Thank you for coming into the chat box too, Dan. I appreciate that.
Winship is another one of those guys who can, you watch what he's done and you've seen him. I mean, he's shown you how to do it. And you just kind of, wow, how did he do that? He's amazing. He had that wing cutter that he had on Sparky's, over at Sparky's, where it cuts two sides at once of the wing. And I just, man, I'd like to have one of those. I've never even I've cut some wings myself, but I've never seen anything like that before. That was slick. I hope Sparky will sell the plans to that thing. I'd like to build one of those. Not that I have room in the basement for it, but I would still like to build one.
Yes.
That's pretty
Hey,
cool.
Gary.
Hey, Gary, good to see you. Oh, he's frozen. Darn.
Frozen.
Yeah, he's not moving. Yep, froze up on us.
He
Can you
froze
hear
up.
us, Gary?
Doggone. Gary, it's not that cold where you are, brother. Come on.
Yeah.
You're wearing a T-shirt. It can't be that cold.
So, Tom, what you been up to, Tom?
I've been inside mostly because it's so cold. I do nothing to do with airplanes, unfortunately, but I've been working with the high school robotics team. So I go there after school and work with those guys. So maybe I can show you something that we've been working on one night, but I don't have anything ready right now.
No problem. We have time. And yeah. Oh, here we go. Dan Winship says, "Thanks, Charles. I'm in my pajamas now, but would love to drop in on the phone right now." And then Mike Wonky says, "Like sent your way. Thank you so much, Mike. I'm gonna try to go look at the analytics, and so you guys can see and hear how all these likes are making a difference. Because if it's not, it's going to. I just know it's just maybe it takes time for the analytics to catch up with us. But I hope they consider how small our community is, and that we get 98% likes. So that's awesome. I hope that will account for something. But that's why I'm just constantly asking for that. And speaking of that, we have 9 concurrent viewers and 5 likes. So please hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And our YouTube membership starts at $4.99 a month, and that's less than 17 cents a day. And that also helps. Those all factor into the analytics. Even the comments. I know I don't see a lot of comments. I'm talking about actually on the YouTube channel side, but even comment there. If you would just put a little comment there, it could be as simple as, I really like the show, or something like that. So that will help too. All those things help. Share, like, and subscribe. Thank you very much. And then Eddie Sutter says, "Watching now, will be on later." That'd be fantastic, Eddie. Look forward to you coming in. Hopefully you can show us some new really good steals or buys you have acquired as far as engines and stuff. So
he's a master of that.
Gary, you've multiplied. There's one of you that's frozen and one that's moving around.
You guys froze up just to turn it on. So I had to restart.
All right. Yeah, so hopefully the other guys I'm going to call the stooge now that he's not moving. Hopefully he'll go away. Yeah, I couldn't help. I couldn't resist that, because we use stooges in this hobby as well to launch our planes. And now, Peter, what are you up to, Peter?
Oh, putting together bits and pieces for the Saginaw. Oh yeah, what I got done as last week.
Easy, Pete.
I got the bell crank installed. As you can see, it's sitting in there.
Cool. Yeah, very nice.
And I contacted Brodak about the sheeting, the leading edge sheeting, Steve suggested I do. And they're sending me 4 sheets of 4-inch wide 1/16.
Wow. As Sparky would say, how much is it going to weigh, though? Right?
I'm not really that concerned about weight at this point. But they're saying I didn't have to go out and hunt around and buy it. They're sending me 4 sheets of 4-inch wide 1/16 inch for the leading edge. So
it's not a size you can readily find at a local hobby shop. So that's great that they helped you with that.
Yeah, when I was looking, because when I was looking online, most of the places wanted you to order like 20 sheets at like $4 a sheet, $50. I don't need $50 worth of 1/8 inch, sheeting.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Holy
4-inch wide
moly.
is kind of hard to come by.
Have we really gotten to that? Golly.
I mean, you can find 3-inch wide, but 4-inch wide is
Yeah,
titanium.
4-inch wide is hard. For some reason, 4-inch wide is scarce.
Yeah, you used to find that in the hobby shop all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like maybe maybe about $1.25 a sheet. Now it's like $5 a sheet, and you can't get it unless you order 20 at a time or 10 at a time.
Well, you figure only a builder. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm thinking a builder would be using 4-inch wide, where it's not too many people building.
The only problem is with this particular kit, 3 inches wide is not going to cut it. It leaves the leading edge sheeting well north of the spar, and it's got to cover the spar. And I couldn't see the point of butt gluing 3/8 inch sheets together to just get 1 inch extra that I needed.
It took me forever, but I finally got my like in.
But yeah, I got the
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you
Peter,
so much.
did you call Brodek and let him know about that?
Exactly. What I did is I sent them an email, and they responded back and says, "Yep, we thank you for notifying us of this discrepancy between the instruction sheet and the materials supplied. We are sending you 4 sheets of 4-inch wide by 1/16."
They're usually real good about that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
No complaints. Their customer service is excellent.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get my camera working.
Big John, that don't sound right, man. You're a technical wizard. What's going on?
Well, I'm pretty sure I got hacked today on the
Yeah, it
computer.
sounds like it.
Yeah,
It
that's
sounds like it.
your camera.
Is your camera and mic on the same one device? Or
Yes.
So what is it? Is it like a Logitech 920 or 930 or what?
That's a lot.
All right.
He just come up as Hans Better.
My glasses.
I figured he was gonna be Han Solo or something. Hey, what the heck,
Wow.
Well, you got your hand out of the cast now. Good.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Fantastic. That's great.
man, they tore you up. They tore
Man.
you up.
These guys for the carpal tunnel, I
Yeah,
got the stitches out today, and they opened right up, man. They're wide open, but
Yeah.
that was expected. They're going to heal from the inside out.
yeah.
So I still got all the stitches here. Those won't come out till next Wednesday, but I mean I've got
Look at that. Wow.
Oh,
Fantastic.
all
You
that.
can do this.
I mean this,
Hey,
yeah. I mean this
Good
one
deal.
is real good. Just still not full strength. This one, this finger is stiff, but
Yeah.
I'm doing all the therapy.
But you can do it. But you
I
can
can-
move it again.
I can work in the shop again. I got my hands. I can get in there and do stuff. So
Oh,
Okay.
that's fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
good to see you on the mend there, hippie boy.
yeah,
Got
I'll
all
be.
that long hair.
I don't think I can quite hold a handle yet, but I don't think it'll be long. Probably another. Not that we have weather. It's like 10 degrees here, but
That's the way it is here too.
another week or two, I could probably definitely fly. So
that's great news, Mike.
Glad to see it.
I'm just glad I got that thing off and I can move my fingers and I can actually get back
Yeah.
out here in the shop and do something.
But
Good to
with
see you. Good to see you. Seem like you're feeling better.
scratch your arm. That's even better. You can get in there and you can scratch.
Oh, I know, man. This itched so bad when I had that thing on. I was driving myself nuts, but yeah. And even still, this itch is real bad because it still has the stitches in it. But I just kind of scratch around it a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
That's awesome, man.
By the way, my wife says she's going to hurt you
Why is that?
because you've got me wanting to start building free flights now.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't have hobbies. I have obsessions.
Obsession.
And she says one more obsession, she's going to kick my butt to the curb.
Well, I'll tell you, Phil. I'll
I don't
recommend.
care how big you are, they can do it.
Right off the bat, just go get that Sky Bunny kit from Peck Polymers. Just look up Sky Bunny and buy a Sky Bunny. It's the red one that I did. You can build that in about 2 nights, sitting in front of the television set, and boy, they fly great, and they're super easy to build. It's a laser cut kit. You can do it on a TV table while you're sitting there talking to your wife. You don't even need to go in the shop. I built all these in front of the television on a TV tray.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
And
Of course, I'll be trying to call you to find out how to do it. But anyway,
they're so easy. They go together so well, Phil, and they're so easy. And they're really, really, really fun to take when you go to a contest and you got some downtime, or, before the pilot's meeting, or when the flying's done and everyone's cracking a beer, you go just send up a couple of flights, and
I want that one with a tube. I looked that up one time.
Bang good. Yeah.
Yeah. I looked at that thing one time, and now I'm getting all of his videos are coming in. That's fine, because he's a lot of fun to watch. I like that cabin model he flies. That's neat. But the thermalizer is what I'm really after.
Well, I started doing this just so Sam would experience different aspects of modeling. We already fly RC. We do the control line. We've been doing the hand launch gliders since he was little. We've been doing the chuckers, but we haven't done a ton of rubber stuff. And I did a lot of rubber stuff when I was a kid, and I've kind of rediscovered it. And, building these things, you got the skills to do it. We all do. We all, and they're amazingly easy to put together, and they go together fast. You're not looking at a 1 month or a 6-week build. You can bang one of these things out in 2 or 3 days, just a couple of hours a night while you're watching a program with your wife, man. So you don't get tripped at for being out in the shop all the time. You can sit right there and do it. So how can she complain about that?
Or being on a video chat.
Yeah, one of my favorite builds like that. I built my pastor when I was 13. My dad died, and he took me up in his Cessna 140 flying. I mean, you're sitting shoulder to shoulder, but this was his way of getting me out of the doldrums. So I got interested in flying, and from there went on to take pilot's license, take the tests and all that stuff. But anyway, I built him a little Gillis kit. I bought the Cessna 150 and modified it into a 140, and I painted it exactly like his airplane.
Oh, how nice.
But I got the brilliant idea before I give it to him, I'm going to fly it one time. Bad idea. Ended up having to build a second one because that one flew away. So I built the second one, and he says, "Have you flown it yet?" I said, "No." No. And I told him what happened with the first one. He says, "Maybe I'll go put this one on my desk." Yeah, that's a good idea. But I went to the airport, took about 2 rolls of film of his airplane, and went home and painted it just like his. Nice. Go ahead.
The Gillows kit are all laser cut now too.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, they started doing laser cut 4 or 5 years ago on the Gillows stuff. So, I mean, if you buy one at a hobby shop that's been on the shelf for 20 years, it might be, but an old die cut kit. But if you buy a brand new one, like from the Gillows site, every one of their models, and they have like 50 of them because they did a lot of scale stuff. They did a lot of Warbird stuff. And then they have some actual really good free flight models, the Javelin and the Lancer. Those are 2 really good free flight models. But they're all laser cut now, and the balsa seems to be pretty good at them. So they go together a lot easier than back in the day. They're just cleaner and straighter, and the wood is better.
I'm glad your Gillis is still around.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
They used to be $3. How much are they now?
Well, Hobby Lobby, at least my Hobby Lobby, carries a pretty fair amount of Gillows kits. And depending on which series it is, if it's the 300, the 400, or I think the other might be the 500 series, which are the different sizes. So the smaller ones are, 15 or 16 bucks, but like the big Mustang and the big P38, those are still, they're like $40 or $45 kits for rubber, but
Wow,
you're
it'd be
getting a
worth it.
laser cut version of it. But the Lancer, to just something this size, is about 15, 16 bucks. And then, of course, Hobby Lobby always has a 40% off coupon that you can get.
Yeah, I can't hear Mike at all.
Did I cut out?
No, you're doing fine. I don't know why.
No, you're doing fine here.
Okay.
Yeah.
John got hacked today, and his computer
got
has been
hacked.
silly
Okay.
tonight.
So you use your 40% off Hobby Lobby coupon and you get a kit for, $10.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll have to look into that.
It's rewarding, Phil. I think you'll like it. I do. I've rediscovered the joy of doing this. I know I haven't had much to add control line wise lately because I've been doing all this crap, but it's fun and it's going to pay off this summer when we have all this stuff to play with while we're at a contest. And while we're at the Nats, we're going to have a whole fleet of rubber and hand launch glider stuff just to mess around with in between downtime.
I remember having a lot of fun with that when I was a kid. I built an oily bird one time and saved for weeks to buy a Pee-wee 020. It took off. I did put my name, address, and phone number on the plane, and I put my AMA number on it and launched it, and that thing flew away. And I thought, I chased that thing on my bicycle till I couldn't go any farther. Well, it ended up landing on the other side of the county.
Wow.
And
I believe it.
It happened to be an AMA member that found it and got in touch with AMA and found out who I was and brought the thing home to me in, no joke, a Rolls Royce. I've never ridden in a Rolls Royce, but one of my airplanes has. So anyway, brought me the airplane home.
You think about it, Phil, an 020 with a full tank of gas probably run 3 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at the time.
And you probably didn't short tank it, and a lot of the
I didn't know about short tanking.
When you're right, you run the tank that's on the airplane, you fill it up and you send it, right? That's how you lose them. But
it made big pretty circles, but it just kept going up and up and up and up. And it got up, and then the clouds were moving, and it went with the clouds. So it went to the other side of the county, and went all the way across Winston-Salem. Never hit a darn thing. Landed in Davison County, which is where I live now, but back then it wasn't. And landed in Lacey J. Miller's front yard. Lacey J. Miller was he's gone now, but he owned a machine shop. Davison County. The machine shop's still there, but Lacey's gone. And he had a Rolls Royce and a Stutz Bearcat.
Wow.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I saw that Bearcat, that was the most awesome car I'd ever seen. That's a modern car that looks like a 30s model car, and everything works. It was cool. But my airplane has ridden in a Rolls Royce, and I haven't. I've still got the oily bird downstairs, but I have never flown it again. It's one and only flight.
Wow. Yeah, let me catch up on the chat box.
Go ahead.
So Dan Winship, he says, not sure who asked, and I think it was you, Phil, about the foam cutter, but I will make a video on how to make one. You guys are great. So thank you very much, Dan.
I sure appreciate that, Dan, because I'd like to do it. I'd love to build one of those.
And then Brent Williams says, hola, stunt amigos. So thanks for coming in, Brent. And if you have any questions or comments, you guys.
Santa Claus.
Hey, now you're showing up. Oh, fantastic, John.
I made it. I can see Mike there too.
Any of you on the chat box, keep the comments and questions coming.
Yeah, we may not can answer them, but we'll try.
I think I got a Gwillows back in the bedroom, up on a shelf. It's probably, I don't know, 30 years old, probably.
Really?
I got no biplane. I've got no biplane downstairs.
Really?
I've got no biplane Gillis downstairs. I guarantee you is 45 years old because I bought it the year before I got married. It's 46 years old because March 1st it'll be 46 years.
Well,
You
this is
believe
still
I've
the
had a woman
box.
snowed? Yeah. Can you believe I've had one woman snowed for 46 years?
Wow.
God, I got a good one first try. I ain't doing this again. I won't get a good one next time.
I had to learn the hard way and have the 9-year starter marriage that ended bad, and then
I got lucky.
Then like a 5-year break, and then I found the one true love of my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I got lucky the first time. She's a good one.
None of you hold a candle to me.
How many did you get? How many did you make?
5.
Women? Wives?
5.
No, 5 caterpillars. Come on, women.
Santa Claus, you
5.
absolutely.
5.
Wow. My brother's working on it. He's on his 4th one.
First one was a good woman, and I just wasn't good enough for her.
Yeah.
My second one wound up being a woman that just one man wasn't enough for.
Yeah.
So I got rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
Third one basically used me to get herself established in a better position. Fourth one, let's see.
Let me cut to the chat. Anyways, Brent Williams says, Dan, some pics of your wing coring jig thing as well. So I guess that Dan, you probably hopefully you understand that and can accommodate Brent Williams with that. That'd be wonderful. And anybody done anything with model airplanes besides Peter? I know Peter's been working on his wing. He installed his bell crank. And I see Mike Lonke working on a plane right now, real time.
I'm working on the
I'm working on
humbug,
mine.
but I haven't got it finished yet. I've got to go tomorrow and get the paint. I meant to go today, and I've been so tied up trying to find parts for the house that.
Yeah.
Never mind. I tell you one thing, guys. If you want a challenge right now, go out there and look at appliances. I don't care what appliance. Look at appliances. This darn COVID thing has got so many of the factories shut down. You can't buy anything. Nothing at a reasonable price, anyway. Uh-oh. All right. Here we go. All right. Gary, who
that
has at
model,
least started a motor this week? Who
Gary,
has at least started a motor this week?
I haven't started a motor, but hopefully I'll be flying Monday. The weather should clear up, and hopefully the field's not too wet, and I'll be flying with a couple
I had
of friends.
somebody send me a Tiger, an OS 46 LA.
Nice.
And wanted me to build it. He says, I want it to run like yours did at Huntersville. And I had the devil of a time getting in touch with him, telling him the one I had at Huntersville was a 40, not a 46.
Okay.
So he says, well, can you make it run can you get a 46 to run as good as that 40 did? I said, it'll run better, but it won't run the same because my 40 ran like a tune pipe run. And I'll make the 40 2-4 break. So anyway, long story short, he sent me this motor and it looked like a brand new motor. So I opened it up to tear into it, and I'm going to get into it and retime it and all. I get in there, and that sleeve and piston, evidently he had crashed that motor and replaced the case and head because everything in it is worn slap out.
Huh.
So anyway, I called him back and told him, I said, what's the deal on this motor? And he told me what happened. That's what had happened. He crashed it and worn it out. I said, if you can find a 46 sleeve and piston, I'll build it for you. But I can't do anything with this. The compression's so low, there's no sense trying it. But I went ahead and hemied the head for him and reduced the squash band and got everything ready. So when I get it, all I got to do is change the timing on the intake timing on the 2 ports, and it'd be ready to send back to him. But I actually got to thinking, I've got those cylinder piston sets ordered from Brian Gardner. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take one of mine apart and give him a decent sleeve and piston and send it to him because he's a young kid trying to learn how to fly. Well, he's not that young. He's 22, but he's trying to learn to fly a stunt. He's going to put it on a a stinger, which is a twister. Y'all would call it a fancerized twister,
Right.
but he remembers my old twister, and he said, "I remember somebody had a plane up there. And it looked like it started out as maybe a twister wing, but and he started describing it. And I said, yeah, it was yellow, orange, and black. He says, yeah, that was it. It's my stinger. So I sent him a picture of it. Or I texted him a picture of it hanging on the wall downstairs. He said, you still got that airplane? I said, yeah, it's 36 years old, but it still hangs downstairs. I'd be scared to fly it to Monaco to go all to pieces. But I sent him a set of plans. I'm sending him a set of plans to it, and they'll fix him a motor for it. But mine never had anything with an FP40 on it, but hey, whatever. I'm gonna my new one. I'm getting ready to work on. I've started looking at it real hard. I need a new profile. My Stinger, I've been flying, as Mike knows, I've been flying the TO for several years for profile, and I started to build all these other airplanes. I thought about a P40, and I thought about a Mobest, and I thought about several. I said, you know what? I've got all the parts. I've got all the templates. I'm gonna build another TO. So, because the one I've got is the last one that Clayton actually had a hand in building. He never built any of it, but he looked over my shoulder and told me how to do it. So I'm gonna build a new one all myself and see if I can make it fly like this one does, and fly the heck out of it. I got 1,260 flights on mine now, so it's time to retire that bad boy.
Yeah, that's a lot of flights.
Yeah, it is.
Doesn't owe you much.
Huh?
Doesn't owe you much.
No, it's been a great one. It's been a great airplane. I've flown the heck out of that one. I'm just gonna get a new one going, put another 46 on it, and have some fun.
That'll work. Let me.
Did you know what Wendy's? I think we came up with the answer earlier. I think it's just pigment from the auto parts store. But Wendy used to sell a little can of yellow pigment that you put in a quart of yellow paint, yellow dope, that made it changed the color, made it a little darker, but one coat and that sucker's yellow. Was that just auto parts pigment, or do you know?
I have no idea. I never heard of that.
Oh, shucks.
That's wild. No, I've
never
heard of that.
I've got a can of it downstairs. I've got a little can of it downstairs.
Cool.
But it's the last one I've got. I ordered 4 and I'm down to the 1. I think I'm going to go to the auto parts store tomorrow and see if I can find that. Because I really like the color. Everybody loves the color of my Jameson Special. So that yellow is just so deep. Well, I thought the secret to it was I put white on and then put yellow over it. But it's that pigment just covers so well. It just makes it work. But anyway, Big John, what are you working on this week?
Well, get my camera, have my radio, get my computer. I got too many things going. Get my computer back running. Had to go reset some stuff in the settings. Plane wise, I'm still working on the 4 bits, getting that ready to build. I'm going to build that for the Nats. Now, there's another one that I'm looking at. I thought about it. It's a kit just sitting there. I designed it, called the Little Ellie. And I thought, I ought to build that because it's 25 powered. It's a little one.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm going to do a dual build. I'm going to build them both at the same time.
Yeah, you taking on what like I do. I ain't got sense enough to do one project all the way through and then start another one. Trust me, it's quicker and easier if you build one and then build the other one.
Me neither.
Yeah, but there's the other thing. You get tired of doing one.
Oh God! Don't even ask.
I get to the point where I'm just don't want to tackle this today, and I start on something else. And
that's right.
I've got 2 or 3
so many airplanes on the go. I don't know where to start now. It's just a mess.
I don't want to tell you how many, but
you say that, Lynn? You're hot.
Yeah, I'm a hot mess. But I'm damned and determined. I'm damned and determined. I'm going to finish that new profile with the 60 on it for this year. I'll have it ready for May or June.
Wow.
You gotta hope they open. You gotta hope they open the border up though for you, bud.
Well, if not, I'll fly it at home here and get better.
Yeah.
Let me check on the chat box. I'm getting a little behind. Let's see here. So Dan the Winship says, Brent, are you talking about the wire that melts the hole in the core? There was a question earlier about to get some pictures of your wing coring jig thing as well. And I think he's responding to that. And then there's a name here I don't recognize, Gordon Haddon. He says bronze powder pigments, and he Sheffield. So maybe that's regarding you, Phil.
Might be.
And
I'll have to look into that.
another new name I haven't seen is Greg Mayer. He says, Dan, do you have a website? So you guys in the chat box, when you guys have questions, go ahead and respond to your question. I'll go ahead and state whatever your answer is to it, but I'll include that in part of the show. And I have let's see who's this here. We have BS Bruce Ship, and this is I believe this is your first time in, Bruce. Right now, your camera and your microphone are muted or not on.
Okay.
Fantastic! Here we are. We see you, and can you hear us? And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Bruce? Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, who's that asking?
This is Charles. My name is Charles Carter.
Hey, Charles. Hold
Hey,
on.
Bruce.
Get in there. Here we go. Yeah, Poplar Grove, Illinois. Been flying. I don't know. Been flying control line since I was a kid, about 50 years now. So have been real active the last 10 years, and hoping to get getting things going again and start building and start flying this next year. So.
Oh, fantastic, Bruce. That's
Awesome.
that is wonderful. Yeah, it's I mean, I got back into it about 17 years ago. I did it as a kid as well, and my cousins came out to visit me, and they brought out these control line airplanes, and they just prodded me, come on, let's go flying. I go, I haven't flown in like 25 years or 30 years at that time, and he said it's just like riding a bicycle. So he wouldn't let me fly his Chipmunk, but he let me fly his Twister, right? So before the Twister got off the ground, it was after just rolling out and then started climbing. I was like, oh my God, how did I ever leave this behind? I mean, there's nothing out there like control. I mean, you feel the plane. It's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So I got back into it, and that's kind of how I got back into it. But how did you find out about the our Stunt Hangar video hangouts? How did you find out about us?
Well, I just I'm on Stunthangar and I'm looking, kind of watch it fairly regularly. And I was just got done with dinner and was sitting here tonight looking at Stunthangar, and I go, oh, I wonder if it's. I saw that you guys were having one, and
Every Monday and Friday.
Yep, and I wasn't sure if how long it would last, or I guess it started almost an hour ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it started actually 53 minutes ago.
Yeah, 8:45 my time, so I wasn't sure. So anyway, yeah, so I logged
Well,
on.
that's great. That's fantastic.
Here
I've been trying to put on the open part of the forum. Are you aware of our Stunt Hangar video hangout? And I've been trying to get it up so it kind of is always up near the top so people can see it.
Yeah.
And hoping to attract someone like yourself to come on in. So I'm glad that's bearing fruit. That's awesome.
So I'm from Quincy, Illinois originally, just about 100 miles northwest of St. Louis. Like I said, I started flying as a kid. My dad got me into it. He had flown all his life, and started flying stunt in St. Louis in the early to mid 80s, and kind of was mentored and learned a lot from Alan Brickhouse and that bunch.
Wow.
Down in St. Louis. Then got out of college, joined the Air Force, didn't fly for a while, ended up in New Mexico in the 90s, and I spent about 6 years there, real active at the Tucson and Phoenix group, and flew in the Nats in 82, I flew in the Nats in 90, and like I said, I got out of it, it's probably been almost a good 6 or 8 years since I've been it was about 6 years since I flew in my last contest. So move in, new jobs, just other stuff going on. So I've picked up two Joe Dill chipmunk kits, and
Nice.
I've got plans for a baby ringmaster and a Joy product stunt runt, which were the first two half-baked kits I built when I was a kid. So I'm going to build those, and I've got a SV11 hanging on the wall that just needs to be taken down and cleaned up and start flying again. So hopefully this spring.
Wow, that's fantastic, Bruce.
That's a good airplane.
That is great.
I used to go to Quincy to fly in a contest down there once in a while back in the 80s.
Yep.
Might have met you back then.
Yep, maybe.
I kind of.
What's that?
I'm trying to remember the guy's name who always was the spark plug there for that.
Bob Rogers.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that contest did not start till after I was in college. I only flew in that once or twice, but the ramp that they flew on, that hangar that they were in front of, was my dad's corporate hangar. That was the Mormons.
Oh, really?
The Mormons aviation hangar.
Really?
And were you there the year that they brought the Beach Starship in?
I was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love those.
No, you should hear it when it made its turn coming on the base.
Yeah.
And then the final.
Hey, Bruce, was that at
So,
the?
yeah, I was already was out of college and married and was off doing other stuff that year. So, but
Was that at the Quincy Airport?
yeah. So who else is in there? I'm sorry, I'm doing this on my phone. This was kind of a last minute deal. So who else is here?
Bruce, was that the Quincy Airport?
Yeah.
I've been to a half a dozen World Free Fall
Who's
conventions.
here? Introduce yourselves.
I'm Mike Lonke. Mike Lonke. But I've been to Quincy a half a dozen times for the World Free Fall convention.
Mm.
Did you ever go to any of those?
So what did I miss so far tonight? What are we talking about?
Anything to do with a control line toy airplane.
Bruce, did you ever attend any of the World Free Fall conventions in Quincy?
Skydiving.
Did you hear him, Bruce?
What's that?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Mike Lunke's asking if you ever attended the free falling skydiving contest there at Quincy.
The world,
a couple of times.
The world would.
Just to go and watch. And my mom with the first one was my mom's 50th birthday, and she did a tandem jump.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I was there a couple of times just to watch for a few hours. I never jumped or anything, but.
Mike was talking to you, asking a question. He was a competitor.
I'm not hearing Mike. Which one's Mike? Wave, Mike.
You see him? He's waving there.
Yeah.
Green shirt with a red stripe. I know the quick flight wing in his hand.
All right. So
I'm not
Bruce asked who we are. So go ahead and Phil. Will you go and introduce yourself, Phil, and then Tom Ramos and Peter.
All right. I'm Philip Bailey. I'm North Carolina, Winston-Salem area of North Carolina. Nobody knows where Midway is, so Winston-Salem area of North Carolina. But we all fly stunt. But it's just an interesting group. We get together twice a week, Mondays and Fridays, and talk. And if you hang around for the after party, it gets wild and crazy sometimes.
So I'm Tom Rammel, and I live in Minnesota.
You gotta say that right, Tom.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
I didn't. I see you, but I'm not hearing you.
That's Tom Rammel. He's in Minnesota.
Gotcha.
There's a noise I keep hearing. I'm trying to get rid of that noise. Okay.
No idea.
All right. Well, I think it was John. I think. No, I still hear it. No, it's not you, John. Anyways, hey, Peter, you're next, but you have to unmute your mic, and so that Bruce can hear you, Peter.
Thank you. I didn't realize I was mute. Oh, my name is Peter. I'm here in Tampa, Florida. Been flying control line since the 1970s. I think, yeah, 1970s, late 1960s, early 1970s, and yeah, welcome to the crew.
Unfortunately, Peter, Bruce, he's left, but maybe he'll come back. And hi, Tryon. Thanks for coming in, Tryon.
Yeah.
Hey, Tryon.
Hey, Tryon.
Good to see you.
I want to catch up you guys on the chat. There's been a few comments since then. So let's see here. So I think Greg Myers said, "Do you have a website?" And now Brent commented, said, "Dan Winship, yes, the cool vertical jig to pass the small rod through the core, the one with the pin on the bottom, as shown on the video you did with Sparky, and clever solution!" Exclamation mark. Then then Dan Winship says, "You can search Winship models on YouTube for a YouTube site or Google Winship models for a website. The website is left over from 2004. Then Greg Myers says, "Are you still making parts for sale?" So I don't know if Winship responded. And Winship says, "Not making parts, but I will tell you how to make them." And then Greg Myers says, "Okay." And Bruce, you're back. So I think, Bruce, last time you heard Phil introducing himself and Tom Rammel, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Peter, go ahead and start your introduction again.
Oh, hey, Bruce. I'm Peter. Been flying control line off and on since the late 1960s, early 70s. Flying mainly, the sport flying or stunt, one or the other. And no real claim to fame other than that. As it stands now. And that's the rudder for the sagging. That's the rudder.
Oh, very good. Very good. So go ahead, Gary Sinclair, and then Mike Lonke. I think you were yours, Mike. But go ahead, Gary.
Hi, I flew that way back in the 60s too, but still got some planes, but I haven't flown for a while on control line, just flying some radio here and there. And
we're going to bring him back from the dark side this summer.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
Go ahead. I don't know if Mike Lonke, you had a chance to say your full introduction, but you got to unmute your mic. I muted you, and I've been trying to isolate this one sound, and I haven't figured out who's making the sound yet.
It's not me. The sound is not me.
Okay.
I think it came on when Bruce came back again, because maybe he's on a phone.
He's on a phone.
That's the issue. I struggled with that a lot. If you remember when I was trying to do it on my iPhone, it was always a problem.
Okay.
Anyway, if you can hear me, Bruce, I'm Mike Lonke. I live in Nashville. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Been flying control line since I was a kid. Fly combat, stunt, jets. And my claim to fame is I'm Sam's dad. That's my claim to fame. I got a 12-year-old that's a pretty hot little control line flyer. So
I want to add that Mike also won intermediate 2000. Was it what year is it, Mike?
18, I think.
2018. He won the intermediate Nats, and he's a good flyer.
Well, thank you, Charles.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. I don't know if you've introduced yourself yet, John. Go ahead, please.
Got my mouth full now. Eating potato chips. Just a minute. Bear with me. You almost swallow potato chips, not chew them. They cut. Anyway, my name is John Miller. I live in Delta, Utah, just on the edge of the Great Basin Desert, about 150 miles south of Salt Lake and about 100 miles north of St. George. So been flying, built my first model when I was about 5. I got my first whittling knife and I whittled me out an airplane to play with. That got me started. First model was a Strombecker P80 Shooting Star. Never forget it. In fact, I bought one at VSC. That guy came with a bunch of old kits, and I found one, and I bought one with the desire to build it here one of these days. And been flying stunt since the 50s, and quit after I went in the Navy. Started back up in the 80s, and I've been going since the 80s. So my big claim to fame is I do a lot of drawings, artwork, and that for various plans and kits and stuff like that, and try to design my own airplanes. So that's my claim to fame, and I enjoy it. I enjoy stunt, fly in the advanced class until I had my accident. Been flying again here this year. I plan on going to the Nats and taking a couple of airplanes to see how bad I can do the job. So that's my attention. Huh?
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt, John. Bruce left. He might be having problems with his phone. Hopefully he'll be back, and then you can just kind of finish.
Okay.
In the interim, I had a friend who I introduced to this Stunthangar video hangout, and he's really loving it. And he asked me a couple questions to ask my illustrious panel. And the first question is, right now he's putting hinges into a plane. That's a surprise to me. He's going to show me the airplane maybe Monday. So he asked me, how do I make the hinge pocket? And I explained to him that I stand mine in. And I guess he saw a video of someone cutting in the pocket. And there's more than one way to do something here. So I thought maybe you guys could kind of put out your opinion or your technique on how to make the hinge pockets.
Okay.
I sand them in.
Make a little device. I figure the width a little bit wider than the width of the hinge itself. I think he's showing.
Peter's got one.
Oh, he cuts his, but with the sanding one, there it is. Yeah, it's the same thing. See how it's set there, and the guides on both sides. You can only go in so far, and it just does a nice job of making those pockets. But you want to cut the for the depth. You want to cut the trailing edge and the flap. There's a little tool you can get from Dubro, little tool set actually. It does a pretty good job. Or you can get a hinge pocket or a hinge cutter from who makes those? Anybody know who makes those?
Was it Dubro?
Dubro did. I don't know if they still do.
Anyway, so there's several ways to do it.
There's one.
There's one there that centers you up on there's a little hole in there, and a little knife that goes through right in the center.
Right.
And it's like two triangles. It goes in there, you poke it all the way in.
Right, and it actually centers your slot. You kind of collapse it onto the wood, and it makes the slot in the center of the wood, no matter what size it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
That's neat.
I told him I had that, and he asked me if I would lend it to him, and I said sure. So when I see him Monday, I'm going to take that same exact thing out to him.
Mm-hmm. Do you have the little plungers in that, Peter?
Peter, you're muted, Peter.
Okay.
He's got the whole kit.
In there are the tools. There's one. That one is when you push in in that slot, and it indexes your holes, and then it's for the bigger ones. And then there's one that's got a little hook on it that you fit on your in your X-Acto knife. And you push it in there, and you can pull that part out, the part between the two out, and get you a nice clean opening.
Charles, make me big.
All right, hang on. Let's see here. There you are.
Peter got his too. Yeah, that's the whole setup right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There we go. That looks good right there. Yeah. Excellent. Yep.
See that little hook in the middle?
Yeah.
That when you slide that in there, put a little pressure to that hook and pull it out. And you just work yourself right across that hinge. Get a nice clean opening.
Thank you, Mike. And it's important to use that center one to remove the wood so it doesn't pucker when the hinge is in there.
And if you don't have the special tools, or you don't have anything on hand to do this with, if you go out, or at least if you have a hacksaw blade, take a hacksaw blade and cut it like at a diagonal, like at a 60-degree diagonal across the hacksaw blade. So it's like a nice pointy, it's nice and pointy. Those are excellent for digging up hinge slots, because you have a little bit of teeth on them, and they're the right thickness where you can turn around, push the hacksaw blade. Once it's trimmed to like a 60-degree angle, you can just pick it out with that if you don't happen to have all the little special tools.
Good point.
Yeah, very good point.
I've used that. I did that method for many years before I went out and actually bought the little special tools.
I saw a video, or maybe it wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't a video. Excuse me. It was a magazine where I believe Dave Fitzgerald, he on a drill press puts a cutoff wheel, like a Dremel cutoff wheel, and he actually moves the wing or whatever device into it, and that cutoff wheel
that way too.
And he cuts a flat slot into the control surface or trailing edge of whatever you're building.
You just think, you get a hacksaw blade, or if you have one, or an old one laying around, and you turn around, you cut it. You cut it to cut it to about like that, and then it works like a charm.
That's a good idea. There's more than one way to skin a cat. That's for sure. Now there's a second question, unless someone else has anything else to add to making hinge pockets. Lynn, if you're saying something, Lynn, you're muted. I know your camera's off, but you're muted also. And you might not have been muted by yourself. I might have muted you when I was trying to find the sound.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was saying, like, all of these techniques are very great, and they work wonderful for a typical hinge. But you can go with the Kevlar hinge, which requires no pockets whatsoever, and you just cut a little slot with an X-Acto knife, insert it, and hit it with thin CA, and you're done.
Yeah, that's simple. A great point. Great point.
It's just super simple.
The most important thing is that the slot be actually completely parallel to your surface. It can't be if you can't any kind of angle on it, then you get into all sorts of issues with binding. So but the most important thing is you turn around and you take a pencil and you find a flat straight edge or something, and you draw a line exactly down the middle of the trailing or leading edge of your flying surface, and make sure that line's in the middle. But more importantly, it doesn't necessarily have to be absolutely in the center, but it can't be tilted. It can't be cocked one way or the other.
Yeah, because if the hinges are not in line, it's one up, one down, like that, in a zigzag pattern kind of thing across the wing, they're going to be very stiff. They just don't work.
You're buying in there.
Now, I have a second question, but before I get to that question, we've had 20 viewers and only 11 thumbs up. So if you could please smash the thumbs up button, I really appreciate it. I know Sparky would too. We're building this platform out, and the idea is to get it so big that we actually would have additional lights. We could even have someone else host the show in addition to me on Monday and Fridays that I do. Someone else could do it some other night if we build this thing out where it's with too much for one night to handle. So I really want to build this thing out, and so the likes are going to help and make it possible for us to do that. So please like, share. I see we have now 12 likes. So thank you for hitting that thumbs up. Now the second question is, what fuel to use in an Enya 35? It's a 5224 model, the one with the square black Venturi. Anybody have any experience with that?
Yep.
What kind of fuel to use in that?
Back in the day, it was all castor. I think you can get by with a mix of castor synthetic today. You want probably 5% at least nitro, and I would say you're looking at least 18 to 20%, probably 50-50 mix between castor and synthetic. I think Mike Lunke knows what the various blends from Castrol. I think, isn't that the name of the outfit, Mike?
Yeah. Clots. So the KL 100 Super Technoplate, and then the KL 200. One is all synth, and the other is an 80-20 mix of synth and castor. I think the KL 100 is the 80-20, and then the original Super Technoplate is all synthetic.
Now the Enya metallurgy in the Enya is a lot better than the Fox or the McCoy.
Oh God, yeah.
And they take forever to break in, and they last forever. You have to set a fire under them and throw garbage and trash on them and everything else to make them bad. but they can take and seem to work, I believe, just fine using a mix of synthetic and castor.
Now, Lynn, I know your mic is muted and you don't have anything good to say about Enya, so I guess we should be considered fortunate that we can see you and hear you just berating that motor.
We can just imagine it.
Yeah.
Well, Canadians can't get good Enyas anyway, so
Yeah, I think they get the scum of the batch.
Yeah.
Where do you get this castor at? Are you using the slang for it? Is it actually
castor oil?
Castor oil? Okay. You always say castor all the time. I said, what is that?
Oh yeah,
castor oil. Just
castor oil. Yeah.
Anybody, if you're trying to make any of this stuff and you can't make your own fuel, you have trouble making your own fuel, all you got to do is find a local go-kart shop. They're all over the country. I looked up go-kart shops, and there must have been 5,000 of them popped up. I'm not kidding. And all you got to do is go in there and you ask for alcohol, like they're running the go-karts. You want castor oil. You want Klotz oil. Some of the motors run just Klotz. Some of the motors, like the old Foxes and McCoys, like castor oil. But most of the motors run a blend, or if you run a stalker, like I've started running, I made a blend of the two and put in it, and it don't like that. It don't like castor. It's just like synthetic. But all you have to have is some nitromethane, and I don't run nitro anymore, but nitromethane, alcohol, Klotz oil, and the other oil.
Castor.
And castor oil. Thank you. Getting old as heck. I can't remember it for 2 seconds. Anyway, and mix your own. I mean, it's just percentages. How many ounces in a gallon? Okay. What percent? 20% of that, or 18% of that total is going to be alcohol. I mean, going to be. If it's not got nitro in it, it's going to be, what percentage of that is going to be 18%, which is going to be half of that's going to be castor and half of it's going to be synthetic. You mix that up, dump it in a gallon jug, put your alcohol in it. If you want to be 5% nitro, okay, what percentage of 128 ounces is 5%, and put that much nitro in there. Mix it up and go fly it. It is not rocket
Phil,
science.
Hey Phil, I'm just gonna amend that to say it's easier to do in milliliters than ounces.
It is, but I'm trying to do it simple.
That is the easiest. So just to make 3 liters of fuel, because 4 won't fit into a gallon. So you got 3,000 milliliters. And I just break it up by milliliters because it's easier to do. It's just so much easier to do.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 10% nitro, you use 300 milliliters of nitro. Bam. If you want 20% oil, you do 600 milliliters of oil, whether you're doing all synth or all caster or whatever. And if you want to split it, you take that 600 and you do 300 of synth and 300 of caster.
Yeah.
And then the rest is easy. It's 2,100 milliliters of methanol. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to make up some fuel for my diesels. So I've been looking around at where K1 kerosene. And so I got an Ace Hardware here, and they got 2.5 gallons of K1 for $12.
Yeah.
And so the K1 is the biggest amount, and then you put in the caster, I'm going to try caster, straight caster. That's what they recommend, but I'm going to look at caster synthetic blend and talk to old Dr. Diesel about it and see what he thinks a good caster synthetic blend would be, because I don't really want that much goo on the airplane when I run it,
Yeah.
Plus the caster cleans it out, keeps it cleaner, keeps the bearings looped better, I think. Not the caster, the synthetic keeps the bearings loosened up better and cleaned up better. And just your internals are better with a percentage, at least a synthetic in there. Go ahead.
If you're gonna run a lot of caster, just be sure when you finish, before you put your plane up for the week, whatever, put a couple drops of after on oil in it, which is nothing but air tool oil.
Yeah.
And then your bearings won't get clogged up with caster. Because caster is funny stuff. We used to run it go-karts, and it's got a lot less resistance than any kind of oil you can put in the crankcase once it gets hot. But when it cools, as soon as that stuff cools down, if you forget, when we'd run a race and we finished the race, my mechanic he was actually the owner of the cart, would take the cart back and he dumped the oil out of it right now. He didn't care if we was going to push the cart to the winter circle. You dump the oil out of the case right now. And I wondered why he did that. So I finally asked him, why do you do that, Charlie? He says, well, I tell you what, the motor you're running tonight, it's an old motor. We're going to not drain it. And tomorrow I'm going to let you open it up and take a look. When I opened that sucker up, it was full of jelly.
Yeah.
I mean, just jelly. And that's the castor oil. Once it gets hot, when it cools, it don't go back to a liquid state. It goes to a jelly state.
Wow.
But I mean, castor oil is the best lubricant you can get if you can get good castor. But once it's been hot one time, it ain't oil anymore. It's jelly now, and it don't go back to oil.
The closest thing you can compare it to is if you're doing cooking grease. You're using any kind of cooking fat. When it's hot, it's nice and liquidy and all that. But as soon as it cools down, if you had you made a soup with some chicken fat or something in it, you have to get that stuff off the top because it turns into a gel.
Yeah, speaking of fuel, you guys, can you guys see this spreadsheet?
Yeah, yes. That's cool. I just made a copy of it.
So I have a spreadsheet, and I can share it with you, but I think it's available on the website on the internet. But I use an Excel spreadsheet, and so if I want to just add oil, I put the initial amount of fuel, which a gallon is 128 ounces, and in this case, I have 10% nitro, and initial oil I assumed was 14%. In this particular case, but I wanted to be the new oil to be 18%. So it shows me there to add 6.2 ounces of fuel. And so I have a beaker. It's in millimeters, and I convert the 6.2 ounces to milliliters. As a matter of fact, last Monday night in the after party, Mike Lonke, I know Mike Lonke was there. I forgot who else was there, but they saw me mixing my fuel or adding oil to my fuel, and that's what I got the numbers from. And so that's how I do that.
Well, if you ever have problems, you ever mix your own fuel, you'll discover it's a heck of a lot cheaper to do it that way. It's a heck of a lot cheaper. But if you ever have a problem with your plane burping and cutting out and doing weird things and sounding like the famous Fox burp, take your gallon of fuel, if it's in a container you can see in, and just shake the heck out of it and see if it foams. If it does foam, that's what's causing you the burp. Put about 3 to 4 drops of Armor All in it. Thank you. I'm getting old as heck. Put 3 or 4 drops of Armor All in it and shake it again, and it will not foam, and it don't foam in your tank. And you go up and fly, and it just works perfect. That's a trick Tom Dixon taught me years ago. And by the way, hello, Steve. Good to see you, buddy.
Nice.
You've been awful quiet.
Like Ed joined us also. And, adding Armor All is kind of controversial. I don't want to call someone out, but I have a friend who really thinks that's not a good idea to put Armor on the fuel to keep it from
I've
foaming
had
up.
people tell me that too, but I've never. They said
2 or 3 drops is not going to do a damn bit. If you go overdo it, yeah.
If you put 2 or 3 drops in a gallon of fuel, now if you put 2 or 3 drops in a half a pint, okay, now you can mess something up because it will break the oil down a little bit. But it's not gonna 2 or 3 drops to a gallon of fuel is not gonna hurt anything. I mean,
basically, Armor All is silicone.
Yeah, it's just silicone oil is all it is. So it won't hurt anything. It's I run it in my 2-pipe motors. I run it in my 4-strokes. I run it in my Foxes. I run it in my OSs. Everything I've got. When I get fuel and get it ready to go, it gets 3 drops Armor All. I've got a little bottle downstairs, one of those little, probably 4-ounce bottle, maybe 6, but I think it's 4-ounce bottle that I've had for probably 20 years, and I've still got a little bit left in the bottle. So you don't use a lot. You just use 3 drops, and I mean not heaping drops, just drops.
Okay.
And it works great.
Like I always take the Armor All right out of the bottle and spray in my batteries, and I've never once had a burp.
Well, and you got to make sure you're using American drops and not Canadian drops.
Right.
Can't use Canadian drops.
Steve, you always find a way to blow my mind. Lord have mercy. Oh.
I have a comment from the chat box.
They slip in and out good.
Out of nowhere.
He's too many.
Now, I was being nice and not saying anything. You guys egged me on.
Steve, brother, when you're here and you're not talking, it just ain't right.
Anyone who's new to flying, I don't care if you fly sport or I don't care if you fly sport, stunt. It's more important if you fly stunt. But even if you fly a sport, I totally recommend going out and getting one of these.
What is that? Click on you, Peter.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This thing can save you so much grief you can't possibly imagine. Because even if a prop is just a little bit out, it gets vibration. And talking about fuel foaming, guaranteed, even if you don't use Armor All, if you have a prop that's a little bit out of balance, you're going to get Bubble City.
Well, you're also going to burn up your motors, and you're going to burn up your airframe because it's going to have cracks all through it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what they're going for now. It was not a cheap investment. I believe it was like $24 or $26 when I got it, but it's worth its weight in gold. You only have to buy it once. You put your propellers on there, and I'm not going to tell you how to ultimately balance it, whether you sand a little bit off or you take a little bit of epoxy and put it on the light blade. But you make sure your props are balanced, and it can save you a whole load of grief.
Is that one of these, Peter?
Yes, it's bro. Yep, that's the one.
That's it.
That's it.
One. I think these things are like $50, man.
Now, are they 50 now?
I think they're pretty expensive. I picked this one up. Rich Peabody was selling a bunch of Bill Rich's stuff. Bill's not able to fly anymore, but he was a PA stunt ship guy, and he flew PAs and big stunt stuff. He's had some health issues, so I actually bought a few engines and some pipes and props from him, and then Rich had this too. But yeah, I think this is like a $50 tool. I don't think.
Oh, gee, yeah. Back when I got this, it was like I just believe it was just under 30.
Yeah,
but still, it's worth its weight in gold. Save your money, pick one up, and I don't know props. What one?
You know what that says, Peter? We're getting old, brother.
Yeah.
Because it can turn around and go to the flying field, and you're trying to figure out why your motor won't run properly, erratically, or your the fuel is foaming up and stuff. And you may not feel it so much in the airplane, but I can't recommend it enough.
Can y'all hear me? Because I don't see all I see is a black picture.
Yeah, we can hear you, Eddie.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Dobro's got those balancers right now, $41.95
$41
on their website.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, $42 plus shipping. So
$50.
Yeah.
We had a young girl show up at the field about 7 months ago. I think it was June or July, early June or July. And she came out to fly her daddy's old ringmaster. And she took off and flew the plane. This girl's about probably 18, 19 years old. She drove up. But she didn't know anything about balancing propellers. Her lines looked like they were this big around. They were vibrating so hard they looked like they were just, So we got it on the ground and we balanced her propeller. I think somebody gave her a new propeller.
Mm-hmm.
We put a propeller on it, and it was a Fox, and it was burping. So we put 2 drops in her fuel because she didn't have a whole gallon. And the time we left, the wires were just wires again, and the motor was running great, and she was flying great. But dadgummit, we never saw her but one or two more times, and then she went off to college. We hadn't seen her since. Hope she'll come back.
Wow. Oh,
yeah, cute little girl. I like having women out there with us. It keeps the guys on their toes.
Yep. Well, this is a great time. Let me update you guys on the chat box. Brent Williams says, mix your fuel in metric. If you can count to 100, you can mix fuel.
I like Brent.
Mix a liter at a time.
I like Brent.
I like simple. Well, that's simple. He's got a good idea. That's
and we have 21 viewers and 15 likes. So please hit the thumbs up button and just get those likes up there, please.
Somebody posted sometime a year or two ago where to get those graduated glass vials that were marked in where to get those. Do any of you know where that is? We should probably publish that somewhere.
I bought mine on YouTube. I mean, on eBay. Pardon me. I bought a 1,000 millimeter graduated cylinder, a 500 milliliter, and a 250 milliliter graduated cylinder. They're made out of plastic, and they have the physical ridges and the markings on them, so the fuel or the oil or whatever won't erase your markings. And now the 1,000 milliliter, that stayed in customs for about a month. So if you try to get a big graduated cylinder, they might be curious, what are you going to be doing with that? But that's what happened to me. But the other smaller ones was no problem. They came into customs and they were out real quick.
Well, you can get them from something scientific, and I can't think.
There's
something
they're lab beakers or something like that.
I think actually, if you look under Sullivan, I believe Sullivan, the other part of the company, actually makes beakers and all that kind of stuff. It's one of the It's one of the places that made tanks and stuff like that, and I think it's Sullivan.
Boston Scientific? Is that what you're trying to think of?
Huh?
Was it Boston Scientific?
Yeah, Boston Scientific, Sullivan. But I think you can get them through McMaster Car also.
That wouldn't surprise me.
But this is the balancer I like.
That's the magnetic
one
one
I use.
That's the one I
use.
And I like that until you get to a prop this size, because now it won't rotate through.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you got to use that type Peter has. I can't think of the name of the one I got. It's made of aluminum. Back in the day, it came in a plastic clear case and stuff like. I got it around here someplace.
Yeah, it's one that Wendy and Alfie used on his videos, right?
I don't know. Was it
the same one Wendy used? I've got one too. I've got one of all of them. I've got one like
I can't. I really like
got one
it.
like he's got there.
But what it is that with like that aluminum one that we got and the one Peter has, if you get up to a 22-inch prop or something, you can raise the one up, keep the one down, and then the rod going across, it keeps it from jacking it out of shape.
Gold anodized aluminum, with two aluminum wheels in it.
That thing, but I paid a lot of money for that back in the 80s.
Yeah, I did too.
My dad just,
that's what I had to have.
Dad balanced his like he did the lawnmower blades. Just stuck a screwdriver through it, and if it stayed out level, it was balanced.
Well, that one Steve got there, that I can't remember what it is. I can't remember the brand name, but it's Top Flight magnetic. You take it on the one you take it on the other one, and when you get it where you think it's perfect, you put it on that one. You'll find out real quick, is it perfect or not. That one works better for tune pipe props than anything I've used. Because if it's just a little bit out, it'll show you quick.
You know, in that magnetic one, you can take 11/8 prop, set it up at the field, face it in the wind, and put your tachometer on it, and it'll tell you how fast the wind's blowing.
Yeah, I got tired of it blowing off though, so I bought the little gauge that tells you how fast the wind's blowing.
Yeah,
man.
You know, but the other thing is that you need to hub balance your propellers.
There you go. Mm-hmm. That's right.
You got to hub balance them, because once you got it balanced, you should be able to put that propeller any place in the circle, and it should not move. If it comes back down, even if it comes back down straight, then you know the bottom is still heavy. So you go through that again until you get it hub balanced. But that's the rope. It takes a long time to really balance the propeller.
Of course, there is.
And there's multiple ways of ultimately balancing. It depends on what kind of prop you have. If you have wood props, you can turn around and you can lightly sand the heavy blade. Or what some people do, they turn around and mix some epoxy up and just smear a thin film on the light blade. On nylon or plastic props, you're more or less, you're sanding off on the heavy side. Or some people turn around and take some paint, and if they want to paint their props, they'll put an extra, couple extra coats of paint on the light blade. There's a number of ways to make it balance, but you need to balance it.
There is, though, one thought about balancing, and that is, if you do want to put the heavy blade in a certain relationship to the web on the crank, so that you wind up helping dynamically balance the whole crank and piston and the whole bit.
Well, hopefully you shouldn't have to do.
I know. But you take a fox. If you.
Oh yeah.
You can put the heavy blade on the heavy side of that fox, and it'll smooth it out.
Yeah, modern engines you shouldn't have to, unless Randy turns around and blueprints them and actually balances everything out on the engine side. But typically you shouldn't have to do that on a modern engine.
But a fox you may want to.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when I balance props, sometimes, in addition to everything you mentioned, Peter, I'll actually use CA on wood props.
Yep.
So on the light side, I'll actually add some CA to make it balanced.
Yep. There's numerous ways of doing it, and you pick your poison. But like I said, the important thing is you get that prop balanced as well as you can. And in some instances, if you're having motor run issues and stuff like that, all of a sudden, miraculously, well, my problems went away. I'm not saying it fixes everything, but in certain instances, yeah, you'd be surprised.
Sure does help. You're gonna do wooden ones. If you're gonna do a wooden one, when you get it sanded and you get it to where you think you've got it right, good gosh, that's a big prop.
That's a beautiful prop.
I wanted to show you how nice it was.
That is a nice prop.
And it's like, if you order one, you can get one for a couple bucks.
But
I haven't tried to balance it yet and stuff. That came with that airplane, the FMS.
That's nice.
It looks like a Zor prop.
It kind of does look like the Zor, doesn't it?
It does. A Zor or a Eternity.
Yeah. But man, it's a nice, I'll see it.
Well, some of those, like the Zor props, I've heard people put them on a balancer and say, geez, I don't have to do anything to this.
Yeah, they are very nice.
I haven't found a prop yet that I hadn't had to do nothing to, but
I've had a couple. I've had a couple Zors I didn't have to touch, and I've had a couple of I can't even think of the name of it. I got some of them downstairs. They're scimitar-looking blades, and they're made here they used to be made here in North Carolina, but now they've shipped it to China like everything else. But they're real good blades too. What I was going to tell you, that CA, a lot of guys balance the props with CA on the tips. Now think about this a minute. They're putting a little drop of glue on that propeller to weight it down enough to balance it.
Right.
But yet they'll take a whole pint, not a pint, but 3 ounces of this stuff and build an airplane with it, and they're trying to save weight. You take this 3 ounces of glue and you put it on that airplane. When it dries, it still weighs 3 ounces.
Yep.
Right.
That's the advantage of using wood glue,
That's the reason I build with Elmer's or white glue. Yep. Tom Morris proved that to me. I went down to Tom's house and worked with him one day, and he showed me that trick. And I said, that makes sense. And I had built the same airplane 6 times, and I never had one come out lighter than 54 ounces. So I built the next one with wood glue. Guess what? 50 ounces.
Yep, because most of it evaporates.
Yeah. So it works. Stay away from CA when you can. It also gets crisp.
But I've never used 3 ounces to build an airplane. If I
I don't know about that.
Huh?
I don't know about that. I got 2 ounces here, and I'm pretty well almost done with that, and that's on the Saginaw.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I don't use hardly any glue, and I just had one go bad because it's so old. But I've had that happen. I use the really fine tips, and it barely goes on it. And if you take like a 1/4 inch piece of balsa on another piece of balsa and do as fine as you can do, let it set off. Now try to rip that apart. That glue will wick its way through a 1/4 inch, no problem.
Oh no, there is an advantage. We're not saying that there isn't. That it definitely.
There's advantages to it, but what gets me, I've got an old airplane downstairs. I'm scared to fly because I built it with Zap back in the old days, and you can thump that thing and bust the joints loose. So I'm scared to fly it for that reason. It's just it would fall apart in the air, I'm afraid. If the motor didn't shake it apart.
I don't have that problem of having airplanes that long to where the glue goes bad.
I use
I don't have many.
I use CA and baking soda to fix the prop on my powered paraglider. I've got a 52 inch. It's a 52 inch wooden propeller. Of course, you get debris sometimes, or
chips,
you get little nicks and dings in it, or even if you have a hard landing and have where it hits the cage or something. I've fixed chunks, 1 inch chunk gone out of the tip of the prop, and you just pack it with baking soda, wick thin CA in there, sand it down. If you got anything wrong with it, some more CA and baking soda, and just. But that's how we fix our big ultralight props.
And your life depends upon that.
Well, not really. I mean, you're under a parachute that's open.
Okay.
It's not like you're going to die if the engine quits.
Unless the piece of prop breaks off, goes up and hits your parachute.
Well, there is that. But
that would be the only thing. But
I had a guy last week. We were talking about. Mike mentioned his paraglider, and the next day one of the guys had listened to us on over the telephone, and he says that guy's crazy. He says them dang things. What happens if the engine quits? It's a parachute. It flies at 10 miles an hour. If the motor quits, it comes down at 10 miles an hour.
That's it.
Yeah, you don't even have to wait for the chute to deploy.
No. Hector's the guy that comes.
You still got to land the damn thing. You got to find a safe place to land. So you got to make sure you got an out. It's it's an unpowered landing, which is never desirable. But as long as you're aware of where you're at, and you always make sure you got an out, you can put them down on a baseball diamond. Really, I mean,
I'm sure you fly them like I do. When I'm flying a light airplane, or flying a sailplane, I'm always looking for the next. Where's the next place I could land?
Always.
If something happens, where's the next place I could land? So,
that comes from 17 years of skydiving and being put out of airplanes sometimes that are not always over the airport or in the right spot. I can't tell you how many times we landed off the airport. I mean, I probably landed off the airport 200 times in 4,000 jumps. But it's never a big deal because if you're not going to make the airport, you start looking for outs, and you just need a space big enough to put it down. Now, granted, putting a parachute down is pretty easy, in a small space. But even putting a powered paraglider down is pretty easy in a small space versus putting a Cub down or a 150 or a 180 or something like that. You don't need as much room. But you always got to be cognizant of where you're at and where you're flying. And if you do have that moment, where am I going to go?
I do that in anything I'm flying in, whatever it is.
A couple of years ago in Florida, that seemed to be I-95. We had landing on I-95 almost on a constant basis.
Well, when I did my long cross country, and I had to fly, and the instructor picked my route for me, and I had to, I had to fly up by the thumb of Michigan there, and come back around the thumb and all this kind of stuff, and figure all that in. But from the track back, from coming around by Bay City across to my next point to come down, I swear to God, for an hour, it was nothing but woods. He flew me across. I went across that federal national forest and stuff. There ain't no place to pick out. There was no place I could have landed that airplane, and it was kind of spooky. And I'm like, holy cow! I can't imagine these guys flying up in the UP and Canada and stuff like that under these old growth forests. I mean, there was no roads, no nothing up there in that.
Well, that's the difference. That's the difference between having to go somewhere or wanting to fly recreationally.
Right, I know.
Like if you gotta go somewhere, you gotta fly over that stuff. So I don't fly over anything where I'm gonna get myself balled up or jammed up because I'm just out there putting around.
Yeah, that's the same thing to me. When I started flying, I flew south, and there was always farmers' fields and stuff like that. I didn't go north. I had friends that did. But I'm like, man, if you ever have a problem, you got to be real good at landing in treetops.
Yep.
Mike, he's talking about skydiving. Skydivers are like firefighters. I was a firefighter 30 years for Greenbrier, and they said you got to be a fool to run into a burning building. Well, you got to be a fool to jump out of a perfectly good airplane too. So
Yeah, I was always the guy that brought the airplane back. But I tell you what, those guys got some of those guys got great big steel ones. Because
I've always wanted to go skydiving. I think it'd be the ultimate high. You know,
my wife has
the rush
always wanted to
would
take
be
her
awesome.
skydiving. We've never done it.
Yeah, a friend of mine, my brother's best friend, had all the groomsmen, him and the groomsmen, parachute into the reception. But my brother was like, there ain't no way I'm jumping out. And he was the best man. So the best man didn't jump out of the airplane. All the rest of them did. But he was standing waiting for him to land. But yeah, they all did it. But
my wife's been wanting me to do that for years. Maybe one of these days I'll get Mike to go with me and try that. But I've never done that.
She wants you to
plane back.
She wants you to die from a heart attack as you're falling down there.
Well, I tell you what, it ain't the falling. Nobody ever died from falling. It's that sudden stop that'll get you.
Well, the bad thing is when you got your mouth open and you're screaming, and you get a robin.
Yeah, that could be bad.
No control line plane ever got wrecked because the engine quit. It was the sudden stop at the pavement.
Yeah. That sudden stop will get you every time.
That's like that same guy that, my brother's best friend there. Another friend of theirs, he wanted to go skydiving. So his girlfriend's in the airplane, and she's got a little, at the time, I say a little camera, but them some bitches are pretty big. You stuck on your shoulder back then in the day than VHS.
Yeah.
They showed it because he stepped out there on the wing, or he didn't step out on the wing. He stepped out and put his hand on the that support comes off.
The strut.
The strut, yeah. And he gets there and he doesn't want to let go. Well, his one hand slipped off and it spun him around, and you see his face looking into the window of the airplane, and he's screaming, as he takes off.
Lucky he didn't get hit by the horizontal stabilizer.
Oh man,
really?
He just he didn't want to let go, and then they had pictures of him when they landed, and once he landed, he was still screaming, and it has him coming out of that thing, and he's running in this field screaming.
That's neat, Trey.
And he said that he'd never do it again. But they said he was so beat up once he landed.
I have a friend I had a friend in this area that was in the Air Force. He was with one of those groups the Air Force has to go in after downed pilots and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they were like special ops, or not special ops, but special forces type guys. And he was telling me, he couldn't tell me a whole lot about what he did, but he was telling me how they would jump out at extremely high altitudes, and they would literally try to fly their bodies as far as they could. When their chutes were deployed at relatively high altitude at night, but they could glide those chutes. I think he said 8 to 10 miles. What?
Is that called halo? High altitude, low altitude?
Yeah. But anyway, it was interesting to talk to him about it. He said they could glide those chutes quite a ways. I guess they jump out on one side of a border and fly in as far as they could on the other side. I don't know. He never told me how, what they actually did. He just that they could glide those chutes for a long ways.
Well, I can tell you, John, having done a lot of cross countries, that's what we call them on a parachute. On a really hot day when it was 100 degrees, we're just burning up. We would decide to go do a cross country. We would get out and have the jump run 15 miles from the airport, especially if there was, 15, 20 mile an hour wind, and get out 15 miles upwind of the airport, deploy at 14,000 feet, and then just fly all the way back to the drop zone, to the landing area. and it was about a 20 or 25-minute canopy ride from 14,000 down to landing, but we could cover 15 or I think the longest cross country we ever did was 18 miles.
Wow.
We got 18 miles from the airport and then flew all the way back and landed and made the DZ.
So, Mike,
That sounds like it'd be a hoot.
Mike,
That's impressive.
That would be fun.
Mike,
Yes.
were you using oxygen?
No, not at 14.
No, but you were saying you jumped at a higher altitude and opened at 14.
No, we got out at 14 and opened at 14.
Okay.
We did a hop and pop. We opened as soon as we left the door. Peter, I regularly jump from 16.5 all the time with no oxygen.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah, you don't need it if you're only there. Like you'd be at 14,000. Typical jump was between 12 and 14.
Yeah.
But some of the guys, on Jump Run, they'd bump you up $2,000 right on the last half mile and take you up to 16. And yeah, you start getting hypoxic around 16,000 feet if you're there for a long time. But if you're only there for 30 seconds, they just bump you up to give you the extra little altitude for the free fall and you leave the plane. If you're only there for a minute, you don't need it. Now I have done high altitude jumps from 24,000 feet, but we didn't take bailout oxygen with us. We just breathed oxygen on the way to altitude. You had a breather tube and you would just breathe up to 24,000 feet. You do your skydive and then, in 30 seconds, you're back down at 16 where you can breathe again.
Okay.
You only need to take bailout if you're doing like 40,000 foot jumps.
Oh, yeah.
A true halo jump, 45,000 feet. But you can do, we call them, they weren't called halo jumps. We call them a high altitude jump because it was 22 to 24,000 feet, but you don't have to have breather oxygen on the way down. You don't take a bottle with you. You just oxygenate your blood all the way to the altitude so you don't pass out in that 1 minute time frame.
You hyperventilate.
Yeah. You get your blood oxygenated and you stay good, man.
My friend never told me how high they jumped out, but they're probably, I would just have to guess because he didn't tell me whether they had oxygen or anything else. But
I'm sure they jumped and opened and flew miles and miles and miles. I can just tell you from my experience, from 14,000 feet with a ram air parachute, you can go 15 or 20 miles depending on the wind. You got to be on the upwind side and the wind takes you. You're not going to go that far if you're downwind and trying to fly into the wind. You have to take forward. So the forward speed of the canopy is 16 miles an hour. If it's 0 all around, you're going to go 16 miles an hour. If the wind is 16 miles an hour, if you're going downwind, you're going to go 32. You're going to go 32 with the wind. If you're flying upwind, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to come straight down. Yeah. I mean, it's all relative wind and what the canopy can do.
Yeah.
It's just like, your airplane, your control line plane struggles going into the wind and climbing up into the wind. But on the downwind side, you pick up speed because you got your airspeed plus your wind speed pushing you.
And you get if you're running ram air pressure rather than muffler pressure, you're going to speed up and slow down. You're gonna slow down going into the wind when you need the power, and you're going to speed up going downwind. So you can.
It's when the Blackbird was finally caught by, I think, the Russians. They tracked it or something, and they brought up the question is we clocked you at 3,000 miles an hour. They're like, or their answer was, well, we had a tailwind. Okay, yeah. 3,000 mile an hour tailwind.
Yeah.
Tryon, what are you working on over there, man?
Yeah, I saw wing.
Where'd Charles? I thought Charles had been waving the airplane around by now.
I'm working on a prowler wing.
Prowler.
I just want to get it over with and be done.
Which
I haven't
twister
worked
is
on it
this
for a
now?
while now.
The Prowler.
So it's just prowler wing. I
Prowler.
just put the lead outs in here. I just glue the
adjustable.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on the other end.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. And I also have the molds done.
Cool. What happened to the first set?
What first set?
You made them before. Yeah, that's what's that set for them?
That's for the nose area. This front.
Oh, okay. The other's for the tail.
This is the front. This is gonna be the back. Turtle deck. And this is gonna be on the bottom.
Is that for that prowler?
No, this is for the vector.
Oh, okay.
I'm making a vector, but just a little bit tweaked. Not much. I just made I built up the elevator with some carbon fiber inside of it, so it's not going to twist or anything like that. Just little details. Move the elevator back a little bit, about 3/4 of an inch. Nothing major. In a fuselage size, the fuselage I'm going to build is just for electric on this one. And I'm going to put 1/64 plywood doublers in it instead of the 1/16 or whatever they give me in the kit. Instead of going with the bottom side of the vector like the way it is, I'm just going to make it a little bit longer down by maybe a half an inch, give you a little bit more side the view of the fuselage. That's all, and that's why I molded these pieces here. But now, see, this is a cool time to take a look at this, and look how well it holds its shape.
Yeah, very good.
It's not bouncing back at all.
Oh, that is a nice piece. Yeah.
So
considering you have almost a square profile in the front, and it goes to a very nice narrow profile in the back. That is nice.
And this was done about a month ago, and it still holds its shape with no problems.
Have you weighed those?
Never bounce, never return. This is because I laminate 2 sheets of balsa wood.
Have you weighed those? Have you weighed those yet?
These pieces? I can put them on a scale right now if you wanna. If you're curious how much they are. I think this one is like I don't know.
You really need to weigh them though when you get them cut to length and everything.
All right,
well,
here
that's
you go.
true, but this gives a general idea.
Now, did you use a white glue or some sort of traditional wood glue to laminate?
Used white glue.
Second.
Okay.
Tryon, did you get that triple beam down in Miami?
I have to.
Back when you were younger?
All right,
I know what he's talking about.
So they are right now. They're not trimmed up. Okay. So I expect them to be much lighter than what I have right now. Obviously, I'm not going to use the whole piece. I'm not going to use just about here. Anyways, but it's about 50 grams right now.
Yeah, no, you figure you're going to take at least a third of that away.
But that's less than 2 ounces right there. That's
30 grams.
Yeah, but that's the whole top and whole bottom.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. That's great.
Yeah, and that's with 2 pieces that are laminated together.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what happens is like when you use the wood glue, and you put a lot of water inside of it, it's gonna penetrate in both sides, so you're gonna have a nice strong bond. And also when the water just leaves the wood, it's pretty light. I mean, it doesn't leave a whole lot of weight behind it. and it has a very, very strong bond. And on these laminations here, there's no voiding between the two halves.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Hey, Tryon, do you think Alexander might fly again this summer a little bit? You think
I hope so.
Did he express any interest in doing it again?
So far, not a whole lot, but I don't know. Would be nice. Let's put it like that. It would be nice.
Yeah, like, you know, don't force him, but if he comes around, I'm sure that would make you happy. You know.
Of course, yeah. So the idea of this mold, I made it extra deep. So what you want to do is, like, if you want to have shorter on the back, you just lift the front end up. So when you cut it, it's going to cut it here like that, right? These molds work pretty much on any plane. I mean, actually, I could use this mold on a half-A plane if I wanted, but I just use the back side of it for a half-A plane. Anyways.
Very good.
Yeah.
You guys, let me interrupt. Jeff Riley has a question for you, Mike. He says, ask Mike if he has a control line parachute.
No control line parachutes, Jeff.
No, I don't think that's been tried yet.
I don't know even. You know, they have RC powered paragliders. I've seen several remote controlled ones of various sizes. I imagine you might be able to get one to work, but I don't think it would be on very long lines. I think it'd be something on very short lines and probably not very much fun. I don't know.
You don't need a paraglider. You got a bi-slob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where is Jeff tonight? Is he going to join us live?
Hey, how is your left hand, Mike? I see you're using it some.
Oh yeah.
Well, I already did the show and tell on the hand.
Yeah, I've seen it in the pictures, but I mean, how is the fingers working? And not bad at all.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's fast, Mike.
The index is very, very stiff. You know, the biggest issue is the carpal tunnel incisions. I got the stitches out today, and they both just opened right up. But that was expected because they heal from the inside out. So the stitches are still in this one, but I'm working and they're working. So hopefully just no infection and everything will heal up.
On this note, Mike, last week I was asking, you know, I know all about the carpal tunnel because my wife had that, but what I was wanting to know is what you do for a job that would cause it to, or you working out that caused that, or is it previous work?
Hereditary.
Well, probably previous work. I spent a lot of years working in production and on assembly lines. And as I mentioned last week, I think skydiving had a lot to do with it. The repetitive motion of pulling the toggles and steering and just old age, man. You know, you hit 50 and then your parts start wearing.
What do you do now?
Easy. Some of us are a whole lot older than that.
I know, Phil. But, I had a pretty fun time from 20 to 40. So I had a pretty hard 20 years there. I was hard on my body a lot during that time.
Other one, though, isn't it kind of hereditary?
I don't know if carpal tunnel is hereditary.
No, the other thing you had.
Oh, yeah, the Dupuytren's thing is hereditary, and if you're a Eastern European guy. But no, Eddie, you know what I do now, man. I'm a stay-at-home dad, man. I stay home.
That's what I thought I would. I didn't know if you're going back to work or doing anything. So,
but no. At least, that other guy we used to fly with had that. He's Polish too. That's really crazy. I didn't, Craig is, and his was so bad on his right hand that his ring finger and pinky finger when he got the handle, he had to work it behind his fingers and then grip it with that too, because them were always just bent.
That's what, yeah.
So bad. And he's
Well,
gonna be back. He's going to be back.
Charles, even though I'll relate this to flying, Charles. It started giving me a problem because this is my flying hand, and my contraction, my ring finger would not go any higher than this. It was all fingers were level, and my ring finger was way down here, and there was so much scar tissue and buildup in my hand, it started getting uncomfortable to hold a handle because it was right there in the ball of my hand built up. That's why I had the surgery on it, because I had to do something about it. It started to affect how I could hold a handle.
That Craig said he waited way too long, and he finally had to go in because he couldn't hold a wrench. He kept dropping wrenches out of his right hand. And
well, I mean, just look, all my fingers are straight now.
Yeah,
they're all straight. And last week, this one was down here, like
way down. Yeah,
I couldn't move it any higher than that, and now I can do that with it. So.
Get that Judy chop going, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm hopeful in a week or two we get some decent weather. Sam and I can take some planes out and go try it out. I hope it's gonna. And the biggest thing, not having the carpal tunnel on because my hands, I would wake up numb every day. Sometimes.
That's the way my wife was.
And I'd go a week or two where I couldn't use my hands. I had no strength in them. And it always worried me that, man, this is going to happen. I'm going to wake up in a hotel room on Saturday morning at a contest and not be able to fly because my hands hurt so bad.
How'd your therapy go on your left one? I know.
Yeah, it's going well.
I mean, on your right hand, you went in for therapy, you said.
Yeah, they're good, man. I'm going to be good. Just, I'll be back to building and flying and hopefully no infections. And
now all you got to do is work on the mental therapy, huh?
Yeah. There you go. Got to get building, man. Got to get cracking.
You can always help by cranking. You're cranking that that finger up and back and forth.
I only do that to Steve, man.
Peter, you're a mess. That's good. Oh, Lord.
You don't realize how much your hands, when you don't have them, especially in modeling, in modeling, building an airplane and not having that dexterity in your fingers and stuff. I mean, John, I'm sure you struggled with your hands since your accident with the electricity. It probably affected how you build and how you fly.
I drop things all the time with this hand. That's my right hand. But like you, that's as high as I can straighten them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering now. You got me wondering if I don't know, because that was from the heat. But I wonder.
It could be scar tissue though.
Yeah, it could be. I got
I seen something pretty cool on YouTube. You know them little magnets we get to hold on canopies and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
The rare earth magnets.
Right.
This guy was on there and he said that, he had trouble with his hands with small screws and stuff like that.
Right.
He took his screwdriver and stuck one of the magnets on it. And then it would hold the screw for him.
Really?
Pick it up, and I'm like, no kidding. I never thought about putting one of them heavy duty magnets on the screwdriver shaft, and it'll pick up screws in and hold it.
Steve, have you never magnetized any of your tools, man?
That's kind of surprising.
I mean, I think everyone here who's magnetized a tool, raise your hand. You just take a magnet and rub it across the end of a screwdriver.
But if you got heavy enough screws, that it doesn't work. But this thing, once you stuck that magnet on there, you can't believe how much magnetism that screw. But I always had the screwdrivers with the little forks on it that opened up and pop it in there and hold the bigger screws.
I've had those too.
Yeah.
That's like electrician screwdrivers, yeah.
I had them that were made out of plastic because the stuff I worked on was there was so much voltage running around in there, you couldn't have a metal screwdriver. So
when Steve started talking about magnets, I thought there was going to be a joke in there.
Yeah, right.
I did too.
You can't help it, you know. If Steve wasn't such a nice guy, I'd feel sorry for him.
Well, I thought he was going to talk about. I thought he was going to talk about the YouTube video that's going around right now with the guy. He's got a big 8-inch woofer speaker, and he's at the car wash, and he's got the magnet part of the speaker on, you know, the car wash where you drop the quarters in, and you know the self-serve one, and he's running the magnet over the top, over the face of the slot, and it's just going ching, 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 and it's adding credit. It's adding credits. You take a magnet and wave it over that electric payment system. I don't know if it's real or not, but I'll tell you what I did do. I put a 4-inch magnet in my truck, and I'm going to try it the next time I go to the car wash. It's probably fake. It's probably fake, but you know.
You were talking about not with your hands and everything, carpal tunnel. I'm getting that way with my neuropathy in my feet from my diabetes, and my wife keeps sagging me, "Why you keep buying all this airplane stuff?" I said, "Because one of these days I'm gonna wake up and not be able to do it, and I want to be able to do it as long as I can."
Absolutely.
And at least try to pass something on to my kids. Whether they do anything with it when I'm dead and gone, I mean that's up to them. But that's just, you know, my balance right now is not that great. So I want to hopefully want to get out and fly some this year, because I hadn't flown any really seriously in probably, I don't know, 5 years now. So
yeah, it's like I went and worked on a furnace and stuff today, and after getting up and down a few dozen times and shit like that on the way home, I was talking to my mom and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm hurting and stuff." And she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "I didn't realize that rigor mortis set in before you died."
Hey, Eddie, I would tell this to Eddie and anyone else here. Build it and go fly. Go fly as much as you can, and go to as many contests as you can, because we're all, you know, I think Tryan's probably the youngest guy here with us right now. There ain't, you know, you only got so many and it's finite. So build them, fly them, enjoy the fellowship, get out and go to contests and meet people, or
you know, once those free flights fly away, you know, what the heck?
Yeah, Tryan says he's the youngest, but look at the color of his hair and look at the color of my hair.
Yeah, but he's got hair at least.
Oh,
I have hair.
How old are you, Tryan?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you guys.
How old are you, Tryan?
How old are you?
53.
Okay, well we're the same age then, Tryan.
I'm 52, so I'm the baby.
So you're the youngest one, but yeah,
I might be the oldest guy here. I
think that's a given.
Going to be 78 in a couple months.
78.
Eddie, the only thing I can tell you for sure is don't sit on your butt. Get up and move. The greatest killer of people is old age, but old age comes on by in what do you call it when you sit around and die. If your body ain't made to be sedentary, get up and move. Even if it hurts, get up and move.
Well, that's why I fish bass tournaments and with my brother. And last year I bought one of the suspender type life jackets.
Yeah.
Of course, because with my feet the way they are, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my balance and fall in the water. And I want that, you know, automatic life jacket on. Same way, you know, If I crash my plane, I crash my plane. It won't be the first one, won't be the last one. But so that's what, like as Sparky said, it's only wood, and that's what they make glue for.
Ed, let me tell you one thing about the suspender types. I wear a Mustang, and everybody says, "Why in the heck do you spend that much money for a life suspender, or for something's going to just blow up and bring you to the top of the water? What's your butt worth?"
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Get the best one that you can afford. I had a buddy fall out of a boat today. I just got the notification a few minutes ago. A friend of mine fell out of a boat today and died.
Oh,
sorry to hear
he
that.
drowned.
Sorry,
he
yeah.
drowned, and they said the water was so dang cold. Hypothermia got him before he could get back in the boat, and he drowned.
Oh yeah.
He was 26 years old and one of the best bass fishermen I fished with. He was a great guy, great kid. I know his father, his brothers, his grandfather fished with him for 3 years in a bass club I was in, and he wanted to fish in cold water. He said he just knew he could do it. He could go out there and have a good time. He hit a log. The boat hit a log, and he was going along with a trolling motor, and the boat hit a log, and he went off the front of the boat and didn't hit his head or anything. He just couldn't get back in the boat.
Wow.
That water is just, I mean, it's 30 degrees out there today.
He wasn't fishing with anybody?
No, he's fishing by himself. And another boat saw him. It said he was 200 yards away, and by the time he could get to him, he was already gone.
Yeah, you don't have like 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and you're done.
Yeah.
So he didn't. I think he didn't have on a life jacket or anything.
He had on a life jacket.
Oh, okay.
He had on a life jacket and it deployed. It was a Mustang just like mine. We all, about 20 of us, bought the things at the same time. We got a price break. But it's a $300 life vest. And everybody says, "Why did you spend that much money?" Because I don't swim real good. And what's your butt worth? I mean, you know. So I just my point in all this, don't put it off. Don't wait. You need to move. You need to stay moving, and life's too short. Go do what you want to do.
Oh yeah.
If you want to fly, go have fun.
Absolutely.
God didn't promise you tomorrow.
We all love.
I'm going to start the stream, you guys. We're going to continue on the after party, but I want to thank everybody who came on today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. I couldn't do it without you guys, literally. And then we had some new guests in the chat box. There's some new names I had never seen before, and familiar names. And I appreciate you guys there too. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for your questions and your posts and comments. And we're up to 18 thumbs up or 18 likes. And I would really like to ask you to please, if you haven't given us a thumbs up, if we deserve the thumbs up, please give us a thumbs up. Please give us some comments. That'll help the analytics. And we do this every Monday and Friday. If you're just joining us, we do this every Friday and Monday evening at about 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I usually try to get the show started. Today we got started about a minute early for the first time. And again, this is it for tonight. Go out there and have some fun. Enjoy the holiday and come back Monday and tell us what you did. Hopefully you had a break in the weather. We can go out there and fly. I definitely going to be reporting back Monday that I went flying, and hopefully I'm taking out 2 airplanes and we'll have a good time. So I will talk to you then. Thanks for coming in. Goodbye, y'all.